I am all the way from Buffalo upon the good boat Danger. A long, long trip we've had, my boys. I feel just like a stranger. Petty fogs, artful storms, forget them I never shall. I am every inch a sailor, boys, on the Erie Canal. Hi, my name's Tom Staudle.
And I'm Cosby Gibson.
And we're two musicians from upstate New York, and we're working in conjunction with the Arkell Museum in Canajoharie, New York, on a presentation on the Erie Canal, on the unique and historical songs that it brought to us during the years. And you'll hear Cosby and I sing a few songs as we take you through a little tour. So let's get started.
The Erie Canal was a waterway created in the 1800s in upstate New York. It allowed the transport of goods from New York City to the newly settled Great Lakes region. Thousands of boats traveled along the canal, making it America's first superhighway. Because of the major advances it promised and delivered, it brought the spirit of the nation together and became celebrated in story and song.
The changes that the Erie Canal brought were dramatic. Syracuse, Utica, and Buffalo became major cities because of the commerce generated by the Erie Canal shipments. New York City became the most powerful port because the Erie Canal carried goods shipped to New York City all across New York State. The Erie Canal appeared during and contributed to the transition from an agricultural society to the new era of industrialization.
Most canals were between 2 and 27 miles long, but the Erie was 363 miles long. It was 4 feet deep and 40 feet wide, and could float boats up to 30 tons when loaded. A path along the side of the canal, called a towpath, was for mules to travel along while pulling the boats. The path was 10 feet wide, and mules could pull loads as heavy as 75 tons. This was a big advancement compared to the 3 or 4 tons that a wagon could carry. Now that you know some of the interesting facts about the Erie Canal, it will help you enjoy this next song, which is charming and humorous. The name of the song is called The Raging Canal, and it speaks of a stormy night on the Erie Canal, where the captain's trembling and the foggy night is thick, and you can hardly see the shore. But as you can see, it would be pretty difficult to have those conditions on this type of a waterway. So here we go, our next song, The Raging Canal.
From out of this famed harbor we sail without fear. Our helm was put up hard, and for Albany we did steer. I'll tell you of the hardships to us that did befall while going on a voyage up that Erie Canal. It seemed as if the devil had his work in hand that night. For all our oil was gone and our lamps they gave no light. The clouds began to gather and the rain began to fall, and I wished myself safe and off that raging canal. The winds came roaring on just like a wildcat stream. The little vessel pitched and tossed, straining every beam. The horses gave a stumble, the driver gave a squall, and they tumbled head and heels into that raging canal. The captain trembled for his money, likewise for his wife, but to muster courage up, he just whittled with his knife. He said to us with a faltering voice while tears began to fall, "Prepare to meet your death this night on the Raging Canal." Took the old news blanket for want of a better dress, rigged it on a pole as a signal of distress, pledged ourselves hand in hand aboard the boat to bide, and not to quit the deck but to keep near each other side by side. At last that horrid night did fade from the swirling sky. Storm it did abate, and the boat came passing by. Soon saw our signal as each on our east did fall. Thankful we escaped the grave on that raging canal. Now if I live 1,000 years, the horrors of that night will ever in my memory a spot goes burning bright. The north within my wildest world could never raise my gall as a memory of my voyage on that raging canal. As a memory of my voyage on the raging canal. As a memory of my voyage on the raging canal. I'm standing here next to an original part of the Erie Canal wall and the towpath that runs right above it. I would be standing in the Erie Canal itself. And the Erie Canal was constructed by laborers and animals. And the laborers were untrained and had to deal with sicknesses while building the Erie Canal, such as malaria, and they were paid very, very low wages. But while they were working, they had some incredible ideas. They came up with a plow, special kind of plow to remove the rocks that they blew up in the boulders. They blew up with gunpowder, and a couple of the crew came up with a special giant invention to remove giant tree trunks, and this was a big, big advancement for making the Erie Canal.
The Erie Canal was made up of a string of water-controlling stations called locks. A lock is like a box across the canal with gates on both ends. A boat enters the box, and the water level raises and lowers with the boat in the box. Locks are built when there is a downhill or uphill elevation of a waterway, where there might normally be waterfalls or rapids, and it creates a staircase effect. There were 83 locks on the Erie Canal, and interestingly, the gate mechanism of the lock was invented by Leonardo da Vinci.
At that time, boats on the Erie Canal were allowed to travel at 4 miles per hour. However, since the boats were pulled by mules and horses, the average speed was about 3 miles per hour. Very slow, but consistent in comparison to bumpy, impassable roads, swamps, and the wilderness of the day. Boats carried coal, lumber, hay, as well as staples of the day, such as butter, apples, flour, pails, tubs, and brooms.
Traveling on a boat was crowded, with people sleeping in hammocks and wooden bunks. A popular joke of the day to determine if a person was a passenger rather than a canaler was to shout, "Low bridge," and see who responded. The words "low bridge" are heard often in the canal songs, and the bridges were indeed low because the canal was built quickly and with limited funding. Low bridges are the very thing that this next song talks about. The name of the song is called "Low Bridge, Everybody Down." You may know it and can sing along. Even though the song was written in 1905, which is well after the building of the canal, we're including it here for you because of how well it portrays life on the canal.
Got an old mule and the name is Sam. 15 years on the Erie Canal. She's a good old worker and a good old pal. 15 years on the Erie Canal. We hauled some barges in our day, filled with lumber, coal, and hay. And every inch of the way I know, from Albany to Buffalo. Low bridge, everybody down. Low bridge said we're coming to a town. You could always tell your neighbor, you could always tell your pal. You ever navigated on the Erie Canal? You could always tell your neighbor, you could always tell your pal, if you ever navigated on the Erie Canal.
I don't have to call when Canal. I eat my meals with Sal each day. I eat my cheese and she eats her hay. She ain't so slow if you wanna know. She put the buff in Buffalo.
Low Bridge, everybody down. Low Bridge said we're coming to a town. You can always tell your neighbor, you can always tell your pal. You ever navigated on the Erie Canal? You can always tell your neighbor, you can always tell your pal. If you ever navigated on the Erie Canal. Here's a little song about my old pal. 15 years on the Erie Canal. It's a fine little ditty about my friend Sal. 15 years on the Erie Canal. Every band will play it soon. Darn fool words with a darn fool tune. And you'll hear it sung everywhere you go. From Buffalo to Mexico. Low Bridge, everybody down. Low Bridge said we're coming to a town. You can always tell your neighbor, you can always tell your pal. If you ever navigated on the Erie Canal. Low Bridge, everybody down. Low Bridge, you got the finest mule in town. She's a perfect little lady and she'll blush just like a gal. If she hears you sing about her on the Erie Canal. She's a perfect little lady and she'll blush just like a gal. If she hears you sing about her on the Erie Canal. If she hears you sing about her on the Erie Canal. If she hears you sing about her on the Erie Canal. This concludes part 1 of the Arkell Museum's video series on the Erie Canal. Please join us for part 2, where we will talk about the music and its origin and some of the instruments and more about life on the canal.
We're grateful to the Arkell Museum and the New York State Council on the Arts for the opportunity to create this video for you. If you're watching on social media like YouTube or others, be sure to like, comment, and share. And if you're ever in the Canajoharie, New York area, be sure to stop into the Arkell Museum and see some wonderful things.
Only another 4 more days to go, Sal. Come on. When we get there, I'll give you a carrot. I am all the way from Buffalo upon the good boat Danger. A long, long trip we've had, my boys. I feel just like a stranger. Petty fogs, artful storms, forget them I never shall. I am every inch a sailor, boys, on the Erie Canal.